The Gamesir Cyclone 2 has been my daily driver now for nearly 6 months, and I find it difficult to use any other controller. This one just does everything I need it to perfectly. I'm going to talk about my experience with it, some changes that I've made to it, and we're going to go through all the settings and features that this controller's got to offer. In my opinion, this is the absolute best controller that you can get your hands on at the moment, but we do have the Gamesir G7 Pro on its way. Gamesir have said they're sending those out to us very, very shortly, so it will be featured on the channel as soon as they drop. So make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when we get hold of that, and I will be directing you where you can pick up your very own. The G7 Pro is expected to be a perfect blend between this controller and the Gamesir G7s, offering the best of both worlds and being the very first officially licensed Xbox controller with TMR joysticks. And not even Scuff can offer that just yet. But let's take a look at what the Gamesir Cyclone 2 offers at face value. We've got a textured plastic grip around the controller. It's not rubber, but I think this does a perfect job, and it does increase durability as there's no rubber on here to lose adhesion and fall off or tear or particularly wear out. And the plastic texture hasn't really worn down much for me during my time of use with it. Two nice big buttons on the back of the controller. I really do like these. The perfect placement, the perfect amount of pressure. You'll be able to easily press them as and when you want to, but you'll not be accidentally pressing them too often. We have got Hall effect analog triggers, but we do have a switch on the side here to turn them into mouse click instant triggers. And these triggers are insanely fast no matter which way you use them. I actually use the Hall effect analog trigger. I don't actually use the instant trigger, although it is a really nice feature. And the reason for that is simply because I've got these set up in a way where instead of waiting for the trigger to get all the way back to the top before it deactivates, it actually deactivates the second you start lifting up. This makes these triggers insanely fast. This is a feature that's across all Gamesir controllers. We do have these next-gen TMR sticks, and they are amongst the absolute best. There's only a handful of controllers out there that have joysticks as fast, as accurate, and as smooth as these ones. These ones are fantastic. No issues, no stick drift. Calibrate them on a regular basis, once a month, something like that, and they are absolutely the best out there. These bumpers are very Xbox-like, but not in a bad way. These are some of the best bumpers. They are short, clicky, snappy, fast, responsive, and they feel great. They're in the perfect placement. No matter where you press the button as well, they activate with ease. Mouse click face buttons, they require just the right amount of pressure to activate, and they're very nice and clicky as well. Same as the D-pad, although the D-pad is a little bit on the spongy side, so it's not my favorite D-pad. And the G7 Pro does have a whole new design of the D-pad, so I'm excited to get my hands on that and see how that is. 3.5mm headphone jack. It is a fully wireless controller, this, and the battery life on this thing is pretty good. You shouldn't struggle to get a 10 to 12 hour gaming session out of this thing before worrying about having to put it back on charge or plug it in. And speaking of putting it on charge, the Gamesir Cyclone 2 does come optionally with its own wireless charging stand, so you can dock it on there and charge it. But then as soon as you're ready to get back on the game, you can just lift it right off. And as long as you've got the dongle connected, the controller will automatically wake itself up, get connected, and you're ready to go. This controller is just so impressive because of how reliable it's been. I don't give controllers the easiest time. I've broken a lot of controllers over the years, and the build quality of this one has proven to just be exactly what you need. It's not overkill. So the controller is made of a lot of plastic and very common materials, and they are made in China, of course, just like pretty much everything else, but it doesn't come at a price. This controller will last a very, very long time, especially for the casual player. If you're anything competitive like me, this thing is well worth its money. And that's another thing as well. I want to talk about the price of this controller, because I think that's really what makes this controller very, very special, or if not all Gamesir controllers. You can pick up this thing for about $50. And to say that this thing beats out controllers that cost 4 times as much is absolutely beyond me. I don't know how they managed to get people to pay $250, $300 for a controller that might not even have the same amount of features. In my opinion, isn't even as good. The controller does have a built-in gyroscope as well. You can map this to your left or your right stick, Although some people have said it's not the best. I can't really speak on that because I'm not really a gyroscope player, and I don't have a lot of experience with gyroscopes. When I have tested it out though, feels fine to me, seems to do the job that it is expected to do, but some other people have mentioned that they do have other controllers that they prefer, such as the DualSense controllers. They mentioned that they have better gyroscopes in them. But if you're not too fussed about gyroscope like me, this thing is honestly almost impossible to beat. There's only one controller that is going to beat it, and that is the G7 Pro. I'm expecting that one to blow this one out of the water. Now, a couple of changes that I did make to this controller are the analog stick caps, and also I did 3D print this little cable support bracket. So this slides onto the smartphone holder that's on the top of the controller. So it slides right on that bracket there and then lines up with the USB-C port. And that provides extra support because I do use my controllers 99% of the time wired just for the best possible performance. And also so that I don't really have to worry about battery life or anything like that. These joysticks are by far the best things ever. And what I've done is I've installed my own interchangeable thumbstick caps. So I can swap these out for domed or PlayStation style or concave. And I can also change the heights as well on the fly, as this faceplate is not removable. To be able to install these, you do need to pull out the 7 screws on the back of the controller and start taking it apart a little bit. But it's very easy to do and very worthwhile as well. As I must say one thing, I'm not the biggest fan of Gamesir's joystick caps. They are kind of PlayStation style, but not quite. They're a little bit more grippy, but a bit too smooth in the center. I don't know, it's just a bit of a weird one. But on all Gamesir controllers, it's very easy to install your own thumbstick caps. They are compatible with anything that's compatible with Xbox and PlayStation as well. So I can even get some PlayStation 5 official joystick caps and install it on this if I really want to. The controller's got 4 modes, an X input mode, D input mode, a switch mode, and an Android mode. It's got a special name though. Can't really think of it right now, but it's basically for using it with your Android devices. I do believe it is compatible with iOS as well, but I haven't tested it out personally. I'm not really a mobile gamer. But if anybody does use this thing on mobile, let us know how it does. But all the magic happens in the Gamesir Connect app for this controller. So we're going to head right into there now, and I'm going to show you all the features that this controller does offer. It really is phenomenal, especially for the money. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are in the Gamesir Connect app with the Cyclone 2 hooked up. We're going to go through all the settings here. This is going to be a full in-depth guide, so it's probably going to be a little bit long, but I will try to keep to the point and keep it relevant. First thing you've got here on the left is light. So this is just the RGB of the controller. You can customize this. And we do have some presets. So there's flow, rainbow, pulse. So this is basically just how the lights kind of animate. You can change the speed and also how bright the RGB is as well. And it does go pretty bright as well. So you will be seeing this in broad daylight as well. Even if you've got a lot of sunlight in the room, you will see the RGB pop there. But obviously that's probably not the most important feature to you. Taking a look at the triggers, I'll tell you how to set up that adaptive hair trigger mode. So you want to have it on adaptive mode, of course. Curve adjustment doesn't really matter, but you can go ahead and adjust this if you really want. If you want to smoothen the triggers out or make them a little bit more snappier, then you can also select this option, but I just leave them on default. Now, to get them to respond the way that they do on mine, you want to have it set here on the anti-dead zone. So starting at 91 and then on 100 for the maximum. And then you just want to make sure that you do have the dead zone at the top set at 0 and max 100 so that you've got still the full range of the trigger. And you want to set this up for both because you will benefit with that. So lots of different customization that you've got in here. You can have your own customization. I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit overkill. I very much doubt anybody's making use of this feature, but the fact that it's available, just in case you do want to play around with it, is really, really nice. But yeah, not really much more to say about the triggers there. So I'll head on back to the main menu. And now we're just going to very quickly cover report rate. Obviously, this is the polling rate. Always have it set on 1000 Hertz just to make sure that you are getting the lowest input latency possible. Heading over to the sticks though, this is where things do start to get really interesting. We've got dead zones, anti-dead zones. So that's basically the opposite of a dead zone where it will actually cause stick drift. So you can actually implement stick drift. As you can see, the joystick has already started moving even though I'm not even touching the controller. Again, you've got curve adjustment, just basically the same thing that you've got for the triggers. I just have mine on linear for the right stick. For the left stick though, I do have this instant option enabled, so this makes the response just much more snappier, but you wouldn't have this for aiming, as I find it a little bit too quick. Again, you ideally for FPS games want both sticks on raw mode. Some people put this left stick on circle and then the right stick on raw, but I just have them both on raw there just to keep things simple. But you do have the option to customize your own response curve here as well, so you can make the sticks act however you want them to. If we go into advanced mapping, we have a sensitivity scale, so you can adjust whether one axis is more sensitive than the other. So if you find that when you're going left to right, your aim is actually drifting off slightly up or slightly down, then what you can do is increase the horizontal sensitivity by dragging it over towards horizontal. And what that will do is it will make your horizontal more sensitive and your vertical less sensitive. And you can do it vice versa as well. If you find that when you're going up and down, it's going a bit too much to the left or a bit too much to the right, and you're struggling to kind of keep it on that axis, then this is what this is for. But I just leave that as default. You can also invert either of the axes as well. And you do have a dead zone for that one too. Heading into motion, this is the gyroscope. The aim basically acts kind of like an air mouse, whereas the tilt is more just on how much you're tilting the controller from the center. And you can change how this reacts as well. You can either do it by rotating the controller around like that, or you can have it so that you are kind of yawing it left and right. Again, I'm not an expert on gyro, so you're going to have to play around with this for yourself, I think, but there's lots to play around with. You can choose the input. It can either act as the D-pad, as a mouse, or as the left or right stick. So you can really get creative with this and find what works best for you. You've got dead zones, sensitivities, and everything else. Honestly, the features of this controller are just completely endless. We've already covered the triggers here, so I'm just going to leave that as is. Vibrations, I don't really use vibration at all, so I've got these turned all the way down and I have this disabled in game. But if you do like a bit of haptic feedback, these have got some great rumble motors in them, and I doubt they'll disappoint. And then we've just got the RGB as well, which we've covered. But if you go into this tab here, you can get even more customization. So you can customize the 4 RGB colors that it actually cycles through, and you've got full RGB range of customization here, not just a set kind of preset red, green, or blue. You can literally fine tune it to whatever color you want. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Another thing is obviously the button mapping. I'll just show you a couple of things in here. So obviously you can remap the 2 rear buttons to whatever you like, one of the face buttons, but also you can remap any button on here to anything, and including you can even remap a button to a keyboard input. So I'll select the trigger here, and what you can do is go into advanced settings, and you can set it to either a mouse input, a keyboard key, a number pad key, or another controller option. And you can also map multiple buttons, up to 3 inputs, to the same button. So when you press it, it will input all 3 at the same. You do have up to a 30 Hz turbo mode for each button as well. You don't have to have turbo for all buttons. You can fine tune it for each and every button on the controller. Man, I am getting out of breath because this is just a lot more than I anticipated. I completely forgot about all this stuff. And you can even disable a button altogether, so you can select this option here and the button will do absolutely nothing when you press it. If you don't need it, that is. So much customization. Honestly, I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible. It's very, very difficult. There is so much to cover. If anybody has any questions, fire them in the comments for me. Again, this controller just simply cannot be beaten, especially for the money. No reliability issues on my part as well. That's not to say that you definitely will not have any issues with the controller. Just reach out to someone from Gamesir if you do, as most likely it's going to be a one-off thing. My controller has not given me any issues whatsoever. If you do like what we do here on the channel, make sure to give the video a like and hit subscribe down below. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a future upload. We will be live every single week for a minimum of 5 hours, 2 times a week, every Wednesday and Sunday. So I'll link the platforms below. We're live on YouTube, Twitch, and kick.com. We have an awesome bunch of people in there already, and we'd absolutely love for you to come and hang out with us. But that's it from me today. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.